unit, this is probably not the place for you. This is either where you start picking it up or it's just, there's no going back. All right, so I just want to throw that out there. This is where we start turning the corner for some of you, or we just don't. Okay. When we've talked about line segments being congruent, we put hash marks on them. When we talk about angles being congruent, we put arc marks. Now what I want to do today is, when are two figures congruent? Okay, two figures. All right, in this case, I got four-sided figure up there, quadrilateral. Look at my givens, everyone. I'm telling you that these two are congruent to each other. They're the same size and the same shape. They're the same exact figures. All right, A, B, C, D, congruent to Z, W, X, Y. So what do I know now? If the figures are congruent, I'm going to start using a new term here. Corresponding parts. Now, you guys remember corresponding angles from parallel lines, right? I move them down and whatever matches up. Same thing. If I want you to, right now visually, take A, B, C, D, plop it right on Z, W, X, Y for me, so all the sides match up correctly. Because those are congruent, so are all the angles and sides that match up. So I'm going to start calling on 8 people right now. 8 of you. Give me a pair of sides that match up first. So I put A, B, C, D right on Z, W, X, Y, so all the sides and angles match up. Tell me a pair of sides that would fall right on top of each other. Ready? Give me one pair. 2, 3. Lucy? A, B, and W, Z. Great job. Everyone agrees those would match up. Now, because these two are congruent, so are these sides Lucy just gave me. All right? When the figures are congruent, so are the corresponding parts. So A, B, and W, Z are congruent. All right, let's keep going. I got more pair. Give me another pair of sides up here that match up. 2s. A.
DA and ZY.
DA and what do you have?
ZY.
Good, I like it. So DA and ZY match up, so they're congruent. All these parts are congruent to each other if the figures are congruent. Keep rolling here with me. Another pair of sides that match up. 4 via.
CB and XW.
Yes. CB, XW are congruent. And then the final pair that has not been given to me. 1s. 11. No 11. No, that's right. Sorry. 19. 19. DC, XY. I like it. Thank you, Zach. DC, congruent to XY. All right. Again, why are they all congruent? Because the figures are congruent. So you guys gave me sides, but whoa, we're not done. All the angles that correspond to each other are also congruent. So give me a pair of angles, and just use a single letter, please, so we can go quick. Give me a pair of angles using a single letter that correspond to each other, so they're congruent. 1, 6. Yes. Angle B and angle W match up, so they are congruent because they are corresponding parts. Next, another pair of angles. Come on, let's roll. 6.
Angle D and angle Y.
Yep. D and Y match up. They're congruent. Let's roll. Let's roll. 3. Another pair. 6. Up. Let's go, Stella.
C and X.
Yep. And I'm not even going to ask somebody here. A and Z. All right, look at all that. Just by knowing the figures are congruent, their corresponding parts are congruent now. Oh, before we move on, I got something to admit to everybody. As you guys were giving me all these sides and angles, I never looked at the diagram to see if you were right or not. But I knew you were right. And not because I memorized my notes either, or because I'm the math teacher. Here's why I knew every single person who answered my question was correct. Look at what was given. Everyone see the given right here? This is called, and please make a note of this, this is called a congruence statement. One figure is congruent to another. a congruent statement. I used that to see if you guys were right or wrong with what you were telling me. How did I use it? Watch, ready? Who told me B and W? Who told me that? Okay, Carter told me that, and I looked at my congruent statement. Where's B in A, B, C, D? It's in the second spot. And where's W? In the second spot of the other one. These are written in order that way. All right, everyone see, look. Who gave me the first one here? Lucy, you gave me the first one. Watch, AB. See where AB is? Same spots as ZW or WZ. Okay? They are written in that order. You guys are going to write this in a couple minutes for me, your own statement. And when you write it, you have to make sure what? The corresponding angles and sides match up in your statement too. Does everyone see where I can get all these without even looking at the diagram? I just match up the position. So A is equal to Z, D equals Y. All right, it's written for that in that order for a reason. All right, you ready to start your first proof? Back at it again. Whew! Don't mark anything yet. Let's talk to each other first. Prove to me that these two triangles are congruent. How are we going to do it? How many angles? How many pairs of angles do we have here? How many pairs of angles in both triangles? Well, 6, but 3 pairs, right? You have to show me all 3 pairs are equal. How many sides do I have? 6. So you have to show me 3 pairs of sides are equal. Basically, what am I asking you? Show me all the sides and all the angles are equal. You have congruent triangles. So kind of like the reverse of what we did here. All right, I gave you the figures were equal. You gave me all the corresponding parts. Now what you guys need to do is, let's prove all the corresponding parts congruent, and you'll have congruent triangles. Let's start. B and D are right angles. Mark them. I know it's been a while. B and D are right angles. Mark them. AB congruent to ED. What are you putting on your diagram? Hash marks on AB and ED. BC and CD, what are you putting there? 2, thank you. Don't put 1, put 2. BC and CD. AC and CE. Ooh, little triples, huh? 3 hash marks. We're getting crazy. All right, so let's figure out what we have and what we need to do. How many pairs of sides did I give you congruent? How many pairs of sides? All 3, you're welcome. You don't have to say anything about the sides. Did I give you any angles congruent yet? No, I did? We haven't said it yet. We know it's going to be, but we haven't said it yet. So do you see I've given you 3 pairs of sides? So you need to help me out getting the other 3 pairs of angles congruent. And then I'll have congruent triangles. Do you see, guys, what I'm talking about when I mean when the triangles are congruent? You need to basically show me everything's congruent. All angles, all sides. I've given you the sides. Now help me with the angles. Do you know any angles that are congruent up there? B and D. Have I said it, though, in my proof? Nope, so let's write it down. Reason 1 was given. Reason 2, angle B, congruent to angle D. All right, reason. This is not nothing I have to teach you here. It used to be plastered up there for almost a month. Why are B and D congruent? What are they? What are B and D? Right angles. What do we have up there? What do we know about right angles? All right angles are congruent. Not a new reason. Okay, there you go. There's 1 pair. Need 2 more pair congruent. Anybody see in your diagram another pair I can say are equal? Come on, dig deep. It's something we've done before. Give me another pair of angles up there that have to be congruent. Have to be in your diagram only. Callum, let's go.
BCA and ECD.
Yep, don't even say any Y. Angle BCA congruent to angle ECD. Here you go, these 2 bad boys right here. All right, somebody else, because I know Callum knows, he wouldn't have gave it to me. What are those? What are those angles that make them congruent? Lisa? What was the what reason am I going to write? I'm just not going to write vertical angles. I'm not going to write definition of vertical angles. I'm going to write vertical angles are congruent. That's the theorem I gave you. Nice. We're almost done, aren't we? I just need those darn last two angles. I need to figure out why E is congruent to A. You think you know? Because I haven't taught it yet, but go ahead, Via.
Oh, well, I don't know. It's a guess, but like, isn't like aren't angle BAC and CED like alternate interior?
They are, but I don't have what type of lines though to make them congruent. I need parallel lines, right? I don't have that. You are correct. They are alternate interior, but they're not congruent because I don't have parallel lines. Okay, good thought though. All right, here you go. Here's the deal. Don't write any of this down. Let's say I had two triangles right now. This one's 100, this one's 100, so they're congruent. This one's 50, and this is 50, so they're congruent. What do you know about the remaining pair? What are they both going to be? 30 and 30. So if you have two pair already congruent, what do you got to know about the third pair? Now they also have to be congruent. Everyone see the box down at the bottom? This is going to be called the third angles theorem. Ready? In a triangle, if two pairs of angles are congruent, the third pair must be congruent. The third angles theorem. That's how you get a final pair of angles congruent in a triangle. Whew. And that is how we are going to get angle A congruent to angle E. Nothing special, but the third angles theorem. I already have the two pair congruent, the right angles and the verticals, so that means the third pair must be equal. Third angles theorem. That's how that works. Do I have all sides and angles, or did I miss any? Do I have all sides or angles? Do I have all of them congruent? Or did I miss any? Going? We have them all. So now I can confidently say, what about these triangles? That they are congruent. But I warned you last problem, you better write it in the correct order. So all the corresponding angles and sides match up. So this is how I'm going to approach it with you guys. Who's got 7? 7? Can you just name one of the triangles any way you want? Doesn't matter. How you name the first triangle doesn't matter. ABC. Pretty unique. Thank you. ABC. All right, everyone. Match it up now. I just can't call the second triangle any order I want. It's got to match up. Angle A better match up with what it's congruent to. B better match up with what it's congruent to. Side AB better match up to what it's congruent to on the other triangle. The order matters here. Two, 4. Romeo got a suggestion how to name the second triangle. EDC. Right? A and E are congruent. B and D. Let's see. AB matches up with ED. Looks good. And then here's how we're going to end it for today only. Tomorrow I'm going to change this, but this is just going to be definition of congruent polygons, which is basically saying once you have all the corresponding parts equal, the triangles are equal. So for today, I know it's a lot of work, but for today, that's how we get triangles congruent. Show all their parts are equal. All right, you might feel uncomfortable here, but at least you're working in a group. I'm going to give you a solid 6-7 minutes right now to see if you guys can prove to me why these two triangles are congruent. Okay? Show all the sides and angles are equal. Go ahead, in your group, talk it over. What do I have? What do I need? How do I get it? You have to show all sides and all angles congruent before the triangles are congruent. To add a step in there from what I saw, so you might need to add a step 0.5 in there somewhere. All right, right away. What did I give you? What was given to you? How many sides was already given to you? 2, right? I already gave you 2 pair. How many do you need though? 3. And some of you guys didn't have a third pair written down. You have 1 pair, 2 pair. Where did the third pair? There is no third side theorem, by the way. I hate to break it to people. All right, there's only a third angles theorem. Just because 2 sides are equal doesn't mean the third pair are equal. What side am I missing in triangle CGN? What side am I missing? Go ahead. GN. What side am I missing in NDG? GN. What do you know about GN and GN here? They're equal because of, there it is. There's your third pair of sides. GN congruent to itself. Reflexive. Some of you guys only had the 2 pair I gave you. You need the third pair in there. GN congruent to itself. All right, so the sides are done. How many pairs of angles did I give you congruent? Just 1. C and D. So what about the other 2? Well, what do perpendicular lines do here? Okay, so here's the thing though. And some of you guys are going to have to add this extra step in. Right angles are congruent, right? So I should just write right angles are congruent and I'm good. Do you have right angles in your proof? You have them in your diagram, but you don't have them in your proof. So some of you right now are going to have to put step whatever 0.5 in and tell me those are right angles. You need to tell me they are right angles before saying they are congruent. So I need to write angle CNG and angle GND are right angles. Anybody remember the reason? Lisa? Say it again. That's fine. Definition of perpendicular lines. I like perpendicular lines form right angles. Both are acceptable. Now you could say they're congruent, all right? But you got to tell me. You got to tell me. Get in that habit. You got to tell me there are right angles first. Now you could say all right angles congruent. How many angles do I have now? How many pairs do I have now congruent? The right angles and the given one, C and D. So I just need the third pair. And there's no way that you can tell me other than that the third angles theorem. Angle CGN is congruent to DGN, third angles theorem. Please do not add in vocabulary terms that are not there. Okay, please don't add in anything that's not there. So does everyone see I have 3 pairs of angles now and 3 pairs of sides? I can now say the triangles are congruent. All right, I'm going to challenge you right now. I'm going to name the first triangle CNG. So I'm going to say triangle CNG congruent to, and then I'm going to have one of you guys finish it for me. Angles and sides have to match up. So if I go CNG, even if you didn't, I don't care. CNG, I'm going CNG. What do you have to name the other triangle in the right order? 13. Callum, go ahead. If I go CNG, you're going? DNG. Yep. Definition of congruent polygons. After this second one, are we all clear? 3 angles, 3 sides. Until tomorrow, anyway. Just have to grind through this today and tonight, and I'll tell you have to do less tomorrow. But for now, all 3 angles and all 3 sides congruent. And then when you're ready, you can try out that last one on your own. Give me a congruent statement for those triangles. It's not a proof. They're already, take a look, they're already congruent because I gave you all the sides and angles are congruent. I just need a statement saying triangle this is congruent to triangle this in the correct order. In the correct order, please. So name that first triangle however you want, but make sure your second triangle matches up. All right, let me know what you got. And again, don't erase yours if yours is different because it's probably right. There's many, many ways I could write this congruent statement. 24, Romeo, share yours with us, please. DFH and what else? The ZPR?
Yeah.
Okay, let me just take a quick look. Step back. D and Z are congruent. F and P are congruent. H and R, yep. Let's see, FD and PZ. FD and P. Yep, looks good to me. That's one way. All right, and I'm sure there's other ways that are correct that are written down on your papers as well. All right, you guys see the assignment, 4 questions. 4 questions. Why don't we start getting rolling on it right now?